Elections are important because if people are elected, they have a mandate from the people and they will have legitimacy. And because of that legitimacy, it will be difficult for other groups to seek to displace them through violence. Salva Kiir now, his legitimacy ended since 2015, and he should have been seeking a new mandate from the people if he wants to continue running the country. We believe that this situation is being perpetuated by the refusal of the regime, President Salva Kiir personally, to allow the transition to run its course. After the conclusion of the peace agreement in 2018, the provisions of those peace agreements have not been implemented. They are being implemented selectively, and that the implementation, of course, even is being violated. The agreement itself is being violated. The government is dragging its feet on the implementation, primarily because they do not want to see the transition run its full course, because if that were to happen, the transition would end in free and fair elections, and in all likelihood, the current regime would be voted out of office by the people of South Sudan.
You think President Salva Kiir would lose elections, even given the historical weight of his party, the SPLM, which took South Sudan to its independence, even given its control of the mechanics of government? You think he would lose elections?
Yeah, I think the SPLM is potentially a very weighty political outfit, but it has been basically destroyed, has been completely dismantled by President Salva himself. First and foremost, he basically tossed aside the vision of the SPLM. So although the government of the Republic of South Sudan is an SPLM-run government, there are no policies that emanate from the SPLM to inform government programs and actions. So the SPLM is just like now an ornament. Secondly, he has emptied the SPLM of its cadres. I mean, the SPLM now, its leaders have been dismissed, they've been humiliated, and they've been replaced by people who even at one point in time were actually fighting the SPLM or hostile to the SPLM. So the SPLM basically does not exist any longer. And so there is no plan, there is no program, for running the country.
You lay out a framework for progress in South Sudan, which, and I'm going to summarise a long document, but essentially is based on free speech, a new constitution, free and fair elections. How would that help? Because one argument in South Sudan has always been this is such a divided society and groups often have guns to support their agendas, and elections can actually be a source of tension rather than something that resolves a problem.
Elections are absolutely critical because what's happening is that the gun culture is something that we have brought into government from the liberation process. The armed struggle that we waged helped us eventually liberate our people and get an independent South Sudan. But it has also come with a curse. You see, it has made violence an integral part of the political culture. If we do not set this aside, then we are heading for total collapse. The reason elections are important is because if people are elected, they have a mandate from the people, they will have legitimacy. And because of that legitimacy, it will be difficult for other groups to seek to displace them through violence, you see. So let us instill in South Sudan the political culture of democracy and tolerance, you see, because even Salva Kiir now, he has lost his legitimacy. His legitimacy ended since 2015, and he should have been seeking a new mandate from the people if he wants to continue running the country.
You'll be aware that Salva Kiir's supporters would react very strongly to that. They would say, he's the president, no one else has been elected, he is a legitimate president.
He's a de facto president, but no longer a legitimate president. That's the point. We don't understand why Salva Kiir and his supporters would not try to seek a fresh mandate from the electorate. You see, because if there are no elections, if people like Riek Machar and other people holding arms are not given the opportunity to vie for political power through the ballot box, they will continue to fight. There will be armed resistance, and they would be justified in doing that. Any South Sudanese citizen can seek to be the president, but you have to be chosen by the people. Otherwise, that would create problems. Political elite, they want political power. And they are being denied political power by the regime. The only way the regime can resolve this problem is to allow those people the opportunity to seek political power through the ballot box. Because as I said, if there is no ballot box, at least most people would accept the idea of seeking power through the ballot box, getting a mandate and legitimacy from the people. But if that route is blocked, then there's no other alternative other than to resort to violence. And violence taking place all over the country is basically a recipe for disaster.
Do you see anybody, whether it's Salva Kiir, whether it's any one of several other powerful men with guns, with armies, willing to accept defeat in an election?
It's likely that the election results would be contested. But again, it all depends on how the elections themselves are conducted. I mean, right now, there's no political space. If you deny civic and political space, and then the government, let us say under the SPLM, IG becomes the only political party that campaigns, that goes out soliciting votes and so on, and others are denied that opportunity, obviously, once the elections are held, if at all they're held under those circumstances, then most people the defeated party would not accept the outcome. So that's why I'm saying it's very, very important that even prior to the elections, we must give sufficient time to make the adequate preparations to ensure that once the elections are done with and the results are declared, everybody will feel that those results basically reflect the will of the electorate.